to Creative Mornings. It's great to have so many people. It's just been amazing this year, just seeing the growth of Creative Mornings in Cardiff and just seeing this wonderful creative community coming together and supporting each other, supporting local businesses. We've been moving it around a lot so you can just see what Cardiff has to offer, changing our guests around and really showing Cardiff at its best. That's the plan anyway. Yes, welcome to Creative Mornings. Every month, Creative Mornings around the world, we have a theme, and this month's theme is thread, and that was chosen by the Derby chapter. And this month, an illustrator gets chosen to do a drawing, and this is by Carla D. Nice and bright for a cold November. And in big news, Creative Mornings Global, which is chapters all around the world, we're now being sponsored by Adobe. And yes, we are sponsored by Adobe UK, but now Adobe, the global behemoth is Adobe, is now sponsoring all of us. So they're going to be supporting us behind the scenes, and hopefully you should see better quality Creative Mornings from it. This was announced at the big Adobe Max event. And yeah, it's great to have them on board. We are also looking for either monthly or yearly sponsors from local businesses if they're interested in keeping Creative Mornings, the good ship Creative Mornings going. Come talk to me or Lowly at the end. And just a few things, we had a great event last month down at Baccaretto with the gang from Hardlines, and I was just going through the Flickr account we've got, and it's an amazing photo. And just wanted the chance to thank our photographer Carolina, who, is absolutely flying at the moment. Wonderful, wonderful work, and she's available to hire as well. She comes to all the Creative Mornings. She's always on time, she's the quality of her work is always astounding. Thank you so much, Carolina, for always doing a great job. Also, thank you to Sustainable Studio. I suppose it's best to have Julia and talk about Sustainable Studio and maybe the events that we've got on.
Yeah, I can do that.
Great.
Welcome everyone, it's so nice to have you all. We took on the shithole of this building a year ago. It's no longer a shithole, it's lovely, so it's nice to be seeing it used. We've been open kind of properly the last few months, and we've had so many different events here, which is amazing, so thank you and welcome. So what we've got going on, so a little brief thing. So this weekend we've got an open studio, so we've been kind of joining up with the lane behind. There's a load of makers and artists, if you don't already know about them. They're going to be opening up their studios. You can have a wander. They've got all their kind of products on sale for Christmas, and we're doing a big fashion pop-up starting tomorrow, 11 till 6, both days, Saturday, Sunday, supporting all kind of local slow fashion designers. So please feel free to come along and support that. And then also, just on a practical note, we are open. We've set up a community interest company which is called Canopies. That's why you can see the canopy outside, designed by the lovely Liz Mosley, who's here this morning. And we're open for kind of co-working, hot desking, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of each week, 10 till 4. So just to let you know if you fancy popping in again, along, I can't talk now, it's too early.
Check out.
Julie and Sarah are amazing stalwarts in the Cardiff creative community, and this place is wonderful and full of amazing creators. This week we've got a wonderful guest speaker, Rohanne. I've been stalking Rohanne on Instagram for, 2 or 3 years, but mostly when I'm in a creative rut, I think, what would Rohanne do?
Oh, that's really kind.
She is, the creative process just seems to channel through you. If something's not working in this, you just jump to something else. She's got 2 Instagram accounts. This woman paints, this woman designs, and does she design, does she paint? Absolutely. We're really chuffed to have you on today.
Thank
really
you so
excited
much.
for your talk. So great. Please, Rohanne Sanders.
Oh. Thank you so much. That was so kind. These ones?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Good morning. Hello. It's so nice to see so many familiar faces. It just feels like I'm talking to my friends in the pub, so thank you. And new faces and internet faces as well. Thank you for coming. I'm completely away. It's very early in the morning. So, yeah, I wanted this talk to be not just about myself for like 25 minutes, but I suppose I have to talk about myself. But I wanted you to leave with something today. I wanted you to feel like quite motivated and inspired, and yeah, just leave with a bit of inspiration. So I hope it's productive, and I hope you get something from it today. So those of you who don't know me, a bit of background. I studied graphic communication at university, and then not long after went to my first creative agency called Orchard, and that's kind of where I learned everything. From UX, UI to branding to events and exhibition spaces, working with TV. I just learnt it all there. And I was there for about 4 years. And then after lockdown, I decided to have a bit of a change. So I became an illustrator specifically for animation in Magenta. And I was there for about a year and a bit. And then I just fancied a change and just fancied going in-house and seeing what that world was like. So TXO are a very corporate, global company. I'm the brand manager, and it is basically what it says on the tin. I manage the brand. So yeah, it's quite a lot, but I do it Monday to Thursday. But on Fridays are my freelance day, and that day is very sacred to me. That day is the day where I get to work with like-minded people. I get to work with a lot of Welsh companies. I work with the Eisteddfod, the Urdd, a lot of arts and comedy, and I just finished doing some paper craft installations with a company called Carter and Wood, for anybody who knows Claire. Liz, I think you know Claire, for the V&A. So just I wouldn't have had that opportunity if it wasn't for Claire and it wasn't for that Freelance Friday. So it's very sacred. So 2025 holds, I might take the plunge fully into freelance, and you might think, why is she so stupid to do that? Because I've got steady income and stuff, but I think you won't know unless you try. So that is the hope, but we will see. But as you can see, this is quite like a linear progression, uni, agency, in-house, freelance. But it's everything in between that has kept me sane and kept me creative, and just making sure that I always make time for myself and make time for my own projects and sort of get my name out there as me. So for example, in 2017, this is very old, but in 2017, I got the opportunity to illustrate a children's book. And I definitely learnt about CMYK RGB through this job, because he's not on here, but the main character was green. And when it got printed, he just merged into the background. It was like a pair of eyes and teeth, like everything was just green. So yeah, that was just an amazing opportunity. I got to work with Lucy and Yak. I just was drawing on Instagram, just random illustrations. And then they contacted me to make a t-shirt. They were like sort of working with local artists. And this was back when they just had the Brighton shop, so they were quite small. I don't know about this t-shirt design now, but it's a bit of a weird positioning. But it was just an amazing opportunity to work with them. And again, I wouldn't have had that unless I just put my work out there. And then I put this in because I think a lot of people had this tote bag. And I remember the week after just being like, whoa, there's neon pink everywhere. It was really cool. But It Will Glow was a creative event, and it was like their launch night, and they asked me to design the tote bag for that event. Back in my ginger bob era. So lockdown, it was a difficult time for everybody, and I discovered mental health in lockdown. Before that, I just didn't know what anxiety was, or depression, or anything like that. But yeah, lockdown certainly brought it out in me. And I spent a lot of time on my phone, because obviously we couldn't go anywhere. And I was very fixated on people who aren't normally creative becoming creative. And it was amazing seeing people who don't have the time to normally be creative flourish and set up their own businesses and start doing things that they've been meaning to do for ages. And it was just so inspiring. But for me as a creative, it was quite a pressure, because I felt like, oh, I need to pull my finger out, I need to do something. And I was looking at creatives in this room, other creatives, and thinking, how can I get to where they are as quick as possible? Because I was looking at their following, their engagement, and thinking, that equals success in my head, and it really doesn't. And I just thought, if I have all these follows, all these likes, I'll be happy and think I'm successful and I'll get to where I want to be and whatever. So I started making stuff that didn't fulfill me creatively. I was doing a lot of digital illustration, which is not really where my heart lies. I'm more of like a traditional girl. I like paint and ink and all that stuff. And I was like putting stuff out, deleting it, reposting, obsessed with my Instagram grid, just like making sure it looked perfect. And I was getting no like fulfillment, and I just didn't know why. And I just kept comparing myself to people and thinking, oh, I haven't got the seal of approval from them, and I don't know why. What am I doing wrong? Totally got in my head about it all. But then I had a conversation with my friend Evan. Evan and I met in uni because we always used to submit late. So we were always in uni until about 9 p.m. at night, and then we'd be like, do you want to be friends? And yeah, we became best of friends. And I had a Zoom call with him in lockdown because that's all you could do. And Evan was working in Tesco at the time as like a essential worker. Is that what they were called? Because they had to be in with the toilet roll and everything. And he, on his lunch break, would take that hour and challenge himself to draw portraits. Every hour he would just draw a portrait, and he was known amongst his colleagues as the portrait guy, because he just used to have his headphones on and draw, and yeah. And I had a conversation with him, and he was showing me all these amazing sketchbooks that he had. And my brain instantly went, you need to get those on Instagram. You'd get loads of likes and loads of follows. Like, you need to show your work. And I think my heart was in the right place. I meant to say, like, you're so skilled and you're amazing, and like, this is beautiful. You need to show it to people. But the way it came out, my brain was just in Instagram engagement mode. And then Evan said to me, like, it's not about that. I'm doing it for myself. I'm learning a skill, I'm practicing. And it was in that moment, it just all changed and everything clicked. And I was like, yeah, I'm completely doing it for the wrong reasons. And that's why I feel so sad. Like, nothing I'm making is fulfilling me. So I took a step back and I thought, I just need to be in my own lane and like not worry about anybody else and just do things that make me happy. So I got rid of the grid, I got rid of Instagram and just deleted it and thought I need to remind myself like why I enjoy art. And I stopped comparing myself. And I went back to just putting huge pieces of paper on the wall and picking up traditional materials like paint, chalk, anything I could find. And I would just put music on. I'd sometimes like close my eyes. I'd sometimes use my left and right hand. I would just like make marks and just make a mess. And it was like a form of therapy. It just did something for my soul. I was just like so happy. And at this point, I wasn't sharing it with anybody. I was just like doing it for myself. And I like could not wait to get home just so I could just plaster a wall with crap, basically. Good crap. And then I just built this massive archive of work. And these are like rolls within rolls of paper. I would just finish something, roll it up, check it to the side, and I just kept going and going and going. And then I think I started posting on Instagram then at this point because I began to treat it like a journal. And I was like, I don't really care about how things look. I just want to check in with people because I've got a lot of friends and I wanted to just tell people what I was up to and where I've been. And the response was amazing and like people were really supportive. But at that point, it was just a byproduct. Like I was really grateful for everybody engaging with my work. But at that point, that was not the focus. For me, it was just showing people what I'm working on and making sure that I stayed balanced and reminded myself that I'm doing it for me. Sorry, I'm very nervous, but I'm fine. I'm just checking in with the room. And then I had like a natural progression from that where I thought I've reminded myself the fundamentals of art and like reminded myself why I love art so much. And it just naturally progressed into sort of collage. Still wanted to use my hands and cut and stick and just work with materials. And I just ended up making cool things. I didn't sell them or I didn't do anything with them, although some people asked for some of these like collages, which I then sold. But again, it was like a byproduct. It wasn't the focus of what I was doing. I was just very grateful that people were supportive and just enjoying the journey that I was on. And then that led to portraits. And these are on like massive pieces of paper. I sadly gave this one away to my previous boss, the original for free. And but at the time, again, it wasn't about the money. It was just, I made it, I was happy, and I was grateful that somebody wanted it. So, but I learned from that mistake, and I made prints instead and sold prints. But again, it was just because people wanted them and were interested. So yeah, very grateful. And then, yeah, I saw this on LinkedIn the other day, and I thought, it's so true. You just have to get your work out there. It doesn't matter what it looks like, just make it exist, because somebody else will if you don't. Somebody will not take your idea, but have that same idea, but you've just got to make it exist. And don't worry about it, make it good later. And a good example of this was when I was working at Magenta, I said to my boss, why don't we bring stop motion animation in as a service? Because at the time, I think like Innocent Smoothie had like a jittery Innocent Smoothie bottle, and like all fruit came out and came back in, but it was all photographs, and they put it together to make like a frame by frame. And I said to my boss, like, why don't we bring this in as a service? And I just wanted to make it exist. I've never done that before, and I just wanted to practice. But the thing is, when you're in a company, you're on company time. We were very busy, and we just didn't have time to like upskill and like learn it. So the day that I had, it was a lot of like professional cameras and learning a software I didn't know, and like really intense lighting. And I thought, no, we're trying to achieve perfect before even learning about it. Yeah, I thought, do you know what? I don't need this pressure. So I'm going to go home and just make it exist. So I started just learning frame by frame animation at home. These were literally just bits of paper I cut out and took pictures on my iPhone and then took into Photoshop to just put it all together. That was like the most simplest way I knew. There was probably a better way of doing it, but I just enjoyed learning this, and I just wanted to make it exist. And then I started to make it good later. I was learning how shapes morph into one another, how shapes interact with one another. And again, this is all just pieces of paper, drawing, and seeing what the result is going to be at the end. So did that for a while, and again, wasn't really bothered about what people were thinking. I just thought, I'm having fun, I'm going to post it. And again, people were very supportive with this. And then my friend Paul said to me, why don't you take this digitally? Because it's taken you a while. And when I messed up, it was really hard to find the frame that I messed up. And the stacks of paper were like that, and it wasn't very sustainable. So I decided to go on Photoshop and just learn about frame by frame animation through Photoshop. And I loved that you could still use organic brushes and still get that hand-drawn feel, but through a digital software. So these two are rotoscope, where you draw on top of footage, video footage. It's a very tedious method, but the outcome is always great. And then this was just me drawing a blob, moving it, drawing a blob, and just kept drawing. But from this passion came opportunity. So I don't know if anybody saw this video on Instagram, but it kind of blew up. It ended up getting like 96K, that's not right, is it? 96K likes or something. And then I was at Green Man at the time, and I just felt my phone like buzzing constantly, and I was a bit distracted. So I was just like, oh, okay, whatever. And I remember I went to Green Man with 500 followers, and I came back with 5,000. And then that grew to 7,000, then 10,000, then 12,000. And I was like, whoa, this is insane. But from it came opportunity. And I think people just liked seeing the person behind the scenes, how something was made. Yeah, it was quite cool. So I got to work with, I liked this guy because he had a Bob Ross t-shirt on, and he reached out and was like, do you want to do some like rotoscope dance stuff? And I was like, yeah, that sounds really cool. The middle one is like a childhood dream. A YouTuber who I used to watch when I was like 10 reached out to me and was like, can you make an intro animation for me? And I was like, yeah. And I got to like go on Zoom with them, and it was just a really cool opportunity. And then I got to work with companies like in America, like a marketing company, and like design their logo and stuff. And that wouldn't have come unless it was for that video. And just, I mean, I was having so much fun making this that it just didn't feel like a job. It just felt like amazing opportunities. But then it was sort of teetering on the line of, this is becoming work now and it's not becoming fun anymore. And that amount of eyes and pressure, I honestly admire the people in this room who have a massive following, because I just haven't got the thick skin, I don't think. And people were starting to criticise animations that I was putting out. And I was reading the comments thinking, it's just for fun. I'm not getting any money from this. Like, this is just something that I'm enjoying doing. This kind of sucks now that people are just being mean for the sake of it. But it was also a bit weird. I just had like weird people following me, and I just didn't like it. And I thought, I need to be my biggest supporter right now. I need to think about my mental health, I need to check in with myself and think, is this what I want to do? Am I still having fun from it? And I just wasn't. I remember I did an animation for somebody and I sent it to them and I just thought, they're going to hate it. I know they are, because my heart's not in it. And they came back saying, do you know what? I don't think this is the right direction. And I completely agreed with him. I just thought, this is not working anymore. So I just thought I need to take a time out. But for me, it was very important to just keep creative. Even though I felt exhausted, I just wanted an avenue to like keep going. So I went down a completely different route. And does anybody know the old electric shop in Hay on Wye? It's very niche. But it's just full of curiosities, full of vintage stuff. If I could live there, I would. It's got like a little cafe with cake and soup, and yeah, it's the best. And I came across this greenhouse kit, and it drew my eye because of like all the mini stuff that you can make. And I thought, do you know what? This is just like a really cute project. And it is meant for adults, I promise, because it's got like electrics in it and stuff. But I just felt like I could make some cute content from that, but I'm also having fun. And I made sure that I did it for myself. And I remember this project took months, and that's how I know I did it for myself. I think I started in May and I didn't finish until like August. So yeah, it was just like a fun project. But from this passion came opportunity. And I got contacted by a company to make like this cool book nook thing. They just said, oh, we really like the greenhouse you did. Do you mind if we send you a kit and you just make it and show yourself having fun? And I was like, yeah, that's like a dream. Sure. So yeah, it was just like a cool thing I did. And again, I didn't get much money from this. It's like a link that if you click it, you get a bit of commission, but it's literally like a £5. But for me, it wasn't about that. It was about the opportunity to work with a company that does these, and just I'm really enjoying crafting and building at the moment. So yeah, it was just doing something for my soul. So I put this in for anybody that plays Animal Crossing. If you waste your time doing something you enjoy, then you don't waste your time. And I remember I print screened this like back in 2021, I think. And it's just something I always come back to. That otter is very wise. If you waste your time doing something you enjoy, then you don't waste your time. And I fully stand by that. You just need to do things that fill your soul. So take this as your sign. I want you to feel today that you can go away and pick up a project that you put to the side or haven't got time for, or is there something that you've been really wanting to do that you just haven't? Now, take this as your sign. This is the time to do it. And don't worry about what anybody else thinks. If it gives you joy, then do it. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, diolch yn fawr.